All
Oh
right.
no. Okay. Oh guys, so sorry about that. I literally just did the whole intro. Like I just talked for like 2, 3 minutes and just realized we didn't press the go live button. Oh. All right, we're gonna do that over. Guys, good morning or good afternoon. Thank you guys so much for being here. Man, I'm having deja vu, Will. That's so funny. I just did the whole thing. Guys, that was a brain fart. I did like the whole countdown and I just didn't press go live. But guys, thanks so much for being here. Thanks for choosing to spend your day with us. My name is Max. I'm the CEO of Because Bitcoin. Today we are joined by Will's Outlook, one of our analysts at Because Bitcoin, and a hell of a trader. I will commend him. I will give him a lot of credit where credit's due. Now, the title of the show today, 35K or 25K, an honest discussion, market check. Well, look, there's no doubt in my mind that something here is brewing. This volatility, this volatility compression and this contraction in price feels like the calm before a storm. It feels like you're staring out at a body of water and it's just glass and the birds are flying in, seeking refuge somewhere deeper, deeper inland. And the big question is, which way is it going to break? Or perhaps we don't break. Maybe we just move sideways indefinitely and Bitcoin becomes a stable coin at 29.5. Nonetheless, Will and I are going to have a discussion about Bitcoin. We're a little bit divided, truthfully. I'm leaning a little bit more so to the downside, but I could absolutely entertain what a move up would look like. And I think Will, not to put words in his mouth, is leaning a little bit more to the upside, but I'm sure he can see a potential for downside as well. So we're going to have, as the title suggests, an honest discussion on what could come next. But we're not going to keep it exclusive to Bitcoin. There's a lot of on-chain stuff I want to dive into, a lot of altcoin setups I want to dive into. And I also think it's pertinent or pressing to discuss what's going on in the equity markets as we see the S&P 500 and the NASDAQ showing some signs of weakness. So anyways, a lot to discuss today. It's just Will and me today on Market Check. So we're just going to go back and forth, have a nice, fun, friendly, potentially spicy conversation at times. Yeah. And, if you guys want us to cover anything, send a message in the chat. We love engaging with you guys. And again, thanks so much for being here. And if you haven't subscribed yet, please consider hitting that subscribe button. Or maybe you're not ready to take that next step and actually subscribe. Maybe just hit that thumbs up button for us. We always shoot for 20 likes. It'd be great if we could get there again. You guys, you truly never disappoint. I don't think we've ever fallen short. So we'll set a goal early on of 20 likes. If we can run the range high of 20 likes on this video, that would be fantastic. Yeah, thanks so much for being here again, guys. Will, good morning, man. Hope you're doing well. Talk to the people, man. What are you seeing in the markets?
Yeah, I mean, I could definitely see either side in this situation. It's equities is giving me a little bit of a different feeling versus crypto for sure. We talked about it this morning, obviously on the Giga chat with equities. Just seeing a lot of pressure, but I would arguably say we're at support on a lot of things. So it's difficult to see a breakdown just yet until it happens. Obviously, I think if we did get a structural breakdown, like we would have plenty of time to play those moves to the downside. And that again is another reason why I'm not too worried about it, because downside would be pretty immense if we did get structural breakdowns. So I would be expecting, Bitcoin breakdown from here would probably push us into that 25K zone, if not lower. And that's why we need to hold structurally here. And then, SPY and so on and so forth. And we talked about Apple this morning too. I think that was a really interesting one. Apple seems to be pretty weak at where it's at right now, but at the same time, it's also at support. So I can't really say, hey, breakdown at Apple, everybody go put puts in on Apple. It's not really at that position yet, at least for me, right? Again, I play on higher time frames too. And this is the thing too. I think a lot of people, they don't seem, at least new people, that to trading and so on and so forth, they look at everything like an investment. And so if you say anything about short or market down, they're instantly against you, because it's like, I only buy, so I'm gonna be mad if it goes.
Bro, you know what I was joking about? I made a TA video on Bitcoin, And I try to be as impartial as I can, right? Like, my
Mm,
bias. If you guys tune in regularly, you know that my bias for the second half of the year is probably another big shakeout. But I did a TA video and I was painting the bearish picture, and I flipped the chart upside down so it was inverted, and I said, look, if the chart looked like this is what you'd be seeing all over CT right now. But you're not allowed to talk about the bearish scenario because you don't want to be crucified on Twitter. But I think it's a good exercise at a minimum. Even if you're like so bullish you can't believe it. I think it's helpful to sometimes check yourself, to check your bias a little bit. Just entertain the other side. There's no reason to be upset.
100%. Yeah, no, I agree for sure. I've got an interesting take here, a really spicy one,
All right.
to kind of what's happened here on this flip. But I don't know if we can share charts or not. But
Yeah, sure we
we got a
can. Let's
decent
throw it up there.
bars pattern here. So, like, I was just looking at this just now, right? I literally just saw this just now, and I would say, like, if you were to take this bars pattern and inevitably just come in and flip this up, you've kind of got a similar move to what's kind of happened here, right? So and this is and the reason I'm pointing this out specifically is because a lot of people tend to not really understand markets as a whole, but they tend to play back up the way they played down, right? So you had this is the only one that kind of doesn't really match because this is more of a round where it kind
Mhm.
of drew back, but this drawback right here is very much like this drawback right here before this last pump, right? And this pump is right over here. And as you can see, we consolidated sideways be prior to that pump, which could be arguably what we're seeing right now is that consolidation sideways. And then we have to decide there. Are we going to come back down and recapture price or are we going to push through? Right. And I think that that's kind of the scenario that a lot of people are really kind of taking into account. And if you look here, where did price stop? Well, I'd say arguably we got stopped out right about where it dropped last time, right? So if we were to push up on Bitcoin again, where would price stop? I would say it arguably stop right below where we broke down last time. And that's where I'm seeing the stops continue to play in as the low end range of each push, right? They're not playing into the higher end of liquidity, they're playing into the lower end of liquidity. Indicative of a market that's kind of getting into a capitulative move. And that's why, like when I told you that half circle yesterday, Max, we talked about it a
Yeah.
little.
Yeah.
This was kind of like what I was viewing, right? And
For
then
sure.
something like this into the next market, and very similar to what you had over there, right? Like I don't know if I shared this chart, but like this is very similar to what you had, and this is my kind of idea of the top end range because really the top can't be calculated. It just can't because it's a time situation, right? If we time out way over here, as far as like where the end of our market starts getting very toppy, we could be all the way at 116K. If we top out way over here, guess what? We're going to be at 100. If we top out way over here, then we're going to be at 90, and I'm just taking it based off a previous high because I am expecting this thing to kind of turn into what I would arguably say. Now, here's the thing: I don't think we'll play the low end range of this again, but this is almost like a megaphone pattern if you look at it.
Yeah. Yeah, it really is. It really is.
It's a
I
really interesting move.
appreciate the one point that you just mentioned, like, it's kind of how I typically trade ranges, right? Where, charts strive for symmetry, and typically the same play that they use to distribute, they'll basically initiate the same thing, but to the opposite side. The same, you basically, if you flip the distribution upside down, it'll look like what the future accumulation is going to look like. And it's really just sort of like the elasticity of the market where a deviation up will be met with a deviation down. Like, actually going back to like 2018, 2019, see where you have 1 2 3 drawn over there to the left, Will? Like, you could argue, we had that crazy bubble up to 3, and then the COVID crash was like, sort of a symmetrical crash to the downside, right? And it's not perfect, but just kind of how the market ebbs and flows. And when you're done, I actually have a chart that suggests symmetry, kind of to the downside. I actually tweeted it out yesterday, but again, just as an exercise, it could be interesting to view it this way as well. So, do you want to see that, or do you have anything else on here you want to show first? We can go
Um,
back to you too.
yeah, no, I actually wanted to get into your 1, 2, 3, and then we can switch over to yours real quick.
Let's do
Yeah,
it.
so this right here is just what I would consider a 3 drive pattern, right? And this is very similar to kind of what we're seeing over here, just with more distribution into the 3 drive pattern. But where you can see the difference here is this is a very bullish market, right? This is a market that is recovering very fast, and because it's recovering so fast, it had to come back and rebalance, right? Whereas this market over here, arguably, now this is kind of the cherry on the pie right here, the cherry on the cake or whatever you want to call it.
I think they
Arguably over
just say
here,
cherry on top, right? Then you don't have to
cherry on top.
specify which food.
Oh
You
yeah,
just say
okay.
it's just on top. It could go on ice cream, it could go on pie, it could go on anything really.
Your favorite food with a cherry on top. All right, so
Cheeseburger, you could put cherry on anything, man.
but arguably because this move was so rapid, your response was going to be rapid, right? Now, because this move over here is so distributive, right? Your response or your potential here is to be much slower to the downside before the breakout, right? And that's why I think this is going to be more circular than it is going to be rip, go, right? I think a lot of people are just expecting boom market, right? But for a boom market, you need boom type pricing. We
Well,
are
couldn't
getting
you make the
heavy
case though?
distribution.
Couldn't you make the case though that we kind of already did that circle? Like if you were just to
This
shrink it up.
circle,
Yeah. I mean, in
well,
theory, right? Like there's nothing that says it has to extend further to complete the circle. Like you could round it out, you know.
it could round here, it could round here, right? It could round at a double bottom. The point being though is that we need to retrace at least the top end range of the move,
Yeah.
right? The 25, I'd say 25K is like your best bet for the hot for if you're a Super Bowl. If you're a Super Bowl, you're looking at 25K pullback, right?
So
And
that by the way, 25K is your line in the sand. Like your bullish bias is still valid with a retest of 25K. Or if we go to 25K, then do you expect to bounce back up from 25 to maybe 28 and then lower from there?
well, I would expect the 25K holds and doesn't puke that we're going to bounce and we're going to continue into the halving with a bullish momentum,
Okay.
right? And I would expect that if we don't, and here's the I would say the other side of the stone here. If we break 25K, I'd fully expect us to fill in this wick. I'd fully expect us to fill in this wick, which would be all the way back down here to 19.6, right? And this is just so people know in the chat, this is a trading range. It's not me saying, hey, you need to sell your bags and buy back into 19.6. This is me saying, hey, if you're trading the charts, this is how I would approach this, as it kind of shows whether it wants to hold or break. And really, if 19.6 doesn't hold, man, I don't know. Like I know a double bottom's always a cook in the book and it's always a potential, right? But I think if we come back down and visit the lows again, it's not going to be a bounce like COVID. It's just not.
You don't
I
think
think
so? You don't think it would be sucked right back up?
I think we would get an immediate bounce and a rejection on 19.6.
Really? Because I mean, truthfully, I'm kind of in the camp that if we had a move down to the low for double bottom, it would most likely be catalyzed by a black swan. I feel like it wouldn't be like organic price action to take us back down there. And if it is a black swan, I do anticipate maybe not as quick of a V recovery, because if you contextualize why the COVID recovery was a V recovery, it's because they injected a ton of liquidity and dropped interest rates, and the stock market did the same thing, right? I mean, it was a mechanically engineered bounce. So if we didn't have that, then it's up to market participants to engineer the demand. So maybe it would take a little bit longer, but I mean, truthfully, man, like for me, playing that double bottom or even a sweep of that low would be like shove net worth long, like don't wait for anything. I don't know.
No,
Maybe I'd be early. I don't know. We spoke with Tone Vase about it yesterday, and he thinks if we break 27, we're going to like 10. I don't agree with that necessarily, but
It's a 10 from 20,
Did
27.
you hear that? Yeah,
No,
he
I
literally
didn't hear
said that.
that. I
He
didn't
said he
hear
thinks
that.
there's a 60%
Oh,
chance that we
man.
don't break 27K ever again. Um, and he also says
I've
that
heard
it,
this story before,
and he
but go
also
ahead.
said he thinks if we break 27, then 10K is on the table. I don't know. I mean, that's a bold prediction. I don't necessarily agree with that, but I mean, oh, we lost. I think we lost Will. Yeah, we lost Will. I'm gonna check in on Will. I got my chart up in the me. Oh, Will, we lost you there. What happened, man? I can't hear you now.
Oh, can you hear me now?
Yeah, now I got you. What happened there? We got rugged.
A button on accident, and it just like kicked me out of the stream.
Ah, shoot.
That was weird, but okay.
Look at they were worried about you, man. Kenny Kenny was worried about you. Don't worry, Kenny. We got him back, man.
Yeah, my bad,
All
guys. I
right,
didn't mean to
you want
run.
to share your chart again to finish up what you were showing us?
Yeah,
We
yeah.
got rugged there, man.
Actually, we could just jump gears.
Yeah.
We'll jump
All right.
gears and look at that. Yeah.
All right. Nah, I don't like us down there. Let's put us right there. Okay, this is I made a tweet about this too. I'm seeing a lot of similarities between how we bottomed and how we topped. And that was something that Will mentioned is like the symmetry that we're seeing in the charts. I got to try to fit this better here. Typically how we bottom is how we will top as well. So it started over here, right? Where we formed our our first real low, right? This was like the Luna collapse low, done. Chop, range, we're just ranging. We never really went below the low, took a couple stabs at it. We kind of had this like normie trend line here, deviation, and then we had the breakdown. And now this sweep is really important here, right? So we have like the major break of this range low from the Luna collapse. And then this one is just equally as important in my opinion. This little fake, like, hey, all right, like it's going to go down more right now. Like it's now or never, immediately bought back up. So big sweep, little sweep, ranging consolidation, breakout of the trend line expansion. All right. Same thing happened here.
You know how many longs probably got trapped there, man?
Big sweep.
Massive longs got trapped, or not longs. Sorry, shorts. Massive shorts
Down
got
here?
trapped at the
Oh, yeah,
bottom.
man.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. 100%. And I'm seeing some similarities here where we've got the same trend line. We had like a fake break, fake breakdown, reclaim, expansion. We take out this one. So big sweep. And then again, same thing here. Like we had the attempt, oh, we're going to break out 35K, little sweep. We're ranging. And now we've got the trend line. I'm seeing a lot of similarities with how we bottomed over here, with how we're potentially topping up here. And just to mention, there's seasonal headwinds as well. August and September are the two worst performing months in Bitcoin's entire history, going back to 2010. So I don't know where this would necessarily bring us. Like if we did break down, truthfully, I'd be looking at this level, because I view all of this right here. Like this is mega demand, like this was consolidation, accumulation, came back, retested it, expansion. I would maybe think that we could take out this low potentially. Like this would be the bear case, right? Like we could take out this low, reclaim, and this would basically be like a mega bear trap, and then maybe even we run it back and talk about, Will's scenario of, 34 later this year, and then maybe we kind of just consolidate up here into the halving, something like this. And then, halving happens right here. And then, forget about it. But this is low key, like kind of what I'm hoping for, and I just want to say, like, I'm seeing a lot of similarities in these two patterns here, like the symmetry that you talked about, Will, how we topped to how we can bottom. And also, if we want to entertain a double bottom, which I don't know if I do, truthfully, like I have it mapped out, of course, but I don't know. No, not that one. It would be, I mean, literally just something like this, like as simple as this. All right. I don't know. Like we could. This to me feels this isn't the right one. There's another one I got here. Sorry, I've got, if you can see all my, I've got so many charts saved here. Give me one moment.
Too many ideas, man.
Too many ideas. I'm seeing a lot of similarities, by the way, between the Wyckoff distribution and this accumulation right here. I'm just
Don't
saying.
confuse the general public. Don't even say those words in front of the general public. It just like people like to pretend like they understand how that works, and you'll tell a retail normie that they'll go watch a video on it and tell you, "Oh yeah, this is Wyckoff. We're on this stage," and they just
Yeah.
like pick some random spot that fits their bias.
No, ever since like the big Wyckoff distribution happened up here, everybody tries to apply Wyckoff distributions to like every single micro time frame structure, and it's just not.
5-minute structures with Wyckoff, and I'm just like, no,
Yeah,
that's
no.
not how it works.
All right, but I want to show you guys this. So, all right, there's definitely some similarities between, again, how we topped over here at 64K and how we're potentially like how we flew off of the bottom. So let's put this just here. So like first major consolidation, right? So like clear demand, expansion, 1, 2, deviation. And then, we had like our break of structure. Oops. Then we had like, our break of structure, retest. And then you would have shorted.
Hold
Right?
on. Before you close that down,
Yeah.
draw that like in a line across the tops now.
Like up here?
No, angled trend line across the tops.
Like this?
Yep. What do you got there?
That's a wedge, man.
Rising wedge, right? Pretty bullish, not? Yeah,
Well,
that's what a lot of people missed, right?
I don't know. I mean, look, see, this isn't not to like nitpick the trend line, right? Because they're never perfect, but I kind of view it more as like the rounded top you were talking about,
Yeah, I was gonna get into that too. Yeah, for
like
sure.
I view it more of like we're running out of momentum here, and then we just because
You're
that's
not
not.
climbing fast enough.
Yeah, I would view it a little bit more like this, but nonetheless, like I get what you're saying.
Yeah.
But either way, like so just think like demand, right? 1, 2. Here's like the real distribution bull trap retest. Never quite came below, the bottom of this demand zone. Now let's go over here and see how we're bottoming or how we bottomed. Let's flip it this way just so you can view it the exact same way. First demand zone, right? 1, 2, bull trap. It's really bear trap, right? It's inverted. You had your trend line, same as up there. Retest, never came below this demand zone, right? So again, look, same. We'll show it again, right? I'll flip it back. We'll go back over here. Actually, let me do this. I'm gonna
Just run the line all the way across.
no, I'm gonna screenshot it and throw it onto the chart so we can put them like literally side by side. It's just that it's not going to look perfect, right? But what it is it's an exercise. It's an exercise to express, typically how we top will be very comparable to, how we bottom. And it's something that you brought up, Will. So, I mean, I know it's abstract, right? But the image is too large to paste. All right, never mind. But anyways, you can see the similarities, it's damn similar, so if this is the case over here, then what if we did something like this? If we're somewhere in here, I mean, this is crazy, right? Like, don't crucify me, or just, we're just doing an exercise. All right. Everybody stay calm. Stay calm. All right.
I liked where you had it the first time.
It's just an exercise, so if this is where we're at, what if we swept this low, just like we swept this high right here?
Max, move
Yes,
that
sir.
to the right a little bit more. No, yeah. Nope, or left. Sorry, move it to the left a little bit more. More.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, no, I mean it's true. Like there's so many different ways you can, contextualize these moves and massage them. Like just because I have one, will just, you could apply this fractal right here too. Like it's it's totally subjective, right? I see more commonalities between, how we distributed up here. Like this to me looks like the 64K top, but
But
inverted. They
with
took the same play out of this Wyckoff and they just flipped it. So again, it's my perspective though. Like it's my opinion. Will can view it entirely differently, and time will tell. Time will tell who ends up being correct on it. Like,
yeah, at the end of the day, it's not about me being right or you being right and me being wrong or you being wrong. It's just about having an open idea, being able to collaborate and talk about those ideas, and being able to have a plan in place if the idea comes true, right? Because you don't want to get like, I would say arguably like in the 20 or beginning of 2022, if you were one of those people telling me 30K was going to hold, look at where you're at now, right? You're at 30K now, but look at where you went, right? You went to 15K because you were so stubborn on price that you weren't willing to entertain price going lower, right? And I think that a lot of people get into that thesis where they won't entertain price going lower or price going higher. It's one side or the other, right? It's really two sides of a coin.
yeah.
But I would also say too, and this was always my thesis, right? My thesis was always Bitcoin was going to break 30K. Why? Because your guy who worked at Target at the cash register was telling me Bitcoin will never go below 30K, right? And that's no shade at the guy at Target that works at the
He's a
cash
nice
register.
guy.
He's
He's
a
a
nice
great
guy.
guy. He's a
He
great
just
guy.
doesn't know what he's talking about. That's the difference. And that doesn't that I think a lot of people take that and they're like, well, you're just saying he's unintelligent. No, it's not your field of expertise at the end of the day, right? That's that's really what it is. Like you have to either be dabbling in trading or understand levels of resistance and support, or you don't have a clue. Like if you say the normie thing, like I like the normie trend line thing. I love that now.
It's an applicable expression, because it's like where everybody begins is like the diagonal line,
Well,
the
a lot of
normie
people,
trend.
and we've had this discussion. I know you were testing me, but a lot of people think that is real support or real resistance, right? And really, the reality is of the normie trend is it's just a trend. You're just following the trend, right? And if the trend is up, you follow the trend up level by level, and that's horizontals, not angles. And then, if the trend is down, then you follow the trend down. I always take it in two ways. If it's up, I put the trend line underneath to the angled side. If it's down, I put the trend line to the top on the angled side. And I look for price to break out of that downtrend, or I look for price to break down through that uptrend, right? So it has to break one of those trends, and then you're probably potentially looking at a trend reversal, but you need to break supports first, right? Because price can always go below a trend line and then recapture above, right? And then start trending back up again. And then you've got a deviation slash fake out that happen on both a level of support and the trend line both.
The trend line is only important in just basically making it clearer to read a break of market structure or loss of momentum.
Yep.
And they
Momentum is the
oftentimes get nice retests and stuff. Just like moving averages aren't supposed to be support and resistance, but oftentimes they provide a level of support or resistance. It's just kind of how it works. But before we get into this next chart, I want to talk about this with Will. We got 33 people watching right now, and we only got 14 likes. I find it hard to fathom that only half of you are truly enjoying watching this because the retention's been pretty good. So if you could please do us a solid, just take one brief moment, press that thumbs up button for us. That's all we need. That's all we ask. We're doing our best. I hope you guys are enjoying the content, but we got to make the robot like us, man. The algorithm, it's kind of, it's like, who are these guys? They're young. Thank you, Kenny, man. Kenny, you're a baller, man. The YouTube, the robot at corporate's like trying to feel us out. Like, do we like these guys? Do we want them shadow banned? Like what are we thinking here? But when you guys like that video, apparently the robot takes a liking to us and it really helps us. So please, my goal was 20 likes. I feel like, okay, we're at 18 now. I know we can get to 20. Smash that like, guys. Thank you guys so much again for being here. I hope you guys are enjoying the discussion so far. I was playing around with this chart yesterday, Will, and this is kind of like my I would say this is a bit of a hybrid for like my base case. All right. So these are all the Bitcoin halving cycles. I kind of ignore the first one because it was like, I mean, Bitcoin was at $3 at the time of this halving, give or take.
There's no way to gauge that type of price, and that's what I
No.
hate when people go back that far, because it's like, dude, the volatility to total liquidity, like, you have to understand that that's not even a thing at that price right now.
Dude, I can't there's no point in even analyzing it. I mean, I think it's cool to look at, but I don't really think you can derive a ton of signal from it. So
No.
I mean, I put it on there, you know.
Yeah.
I give it a little bit of credence, but I don't spend too much time with it. But anyways, I want to have a hypothetical, about a hypothetical discussion about, where we potentially are, right? So I was just playing around with previous cycles, and I was thinking, maybe there's a scenario where in here, I'll show you where, where these came from. So the first one, the red fractal right here, that would be actually, where's the arrow thing? The arrow should be right here. Okay, so the red one would start basically like right here. I'll make this bigger and then I'll make it red. So the red fractal would mean we're like, it started right there, right? So I mean, we would be, somewhere like around in here. So the red one's there, and it would imply that currently we are right. Here, let's do this. Let's throw this on. So that would imply that, we're maybe like, right here, something like that. It's not going to be perfect, right? But let's just say we're like somewhere around here. All right. The next one, the green one, would basically start like right, the fractal starts right here. So that would be green. I think I did this color. Good enough. Green. And then it would imply that, like, for if we were, in this area, we would be somewhere around like right here. All right. So I took these fractals, one basically showing that we're like in the 2014-15 cycle, the next one implying that we're like, 18, 19, somewhere around here. And you can see where we're currently at. So it's like the seasonality of things, it kind of implies to me like we don't have a ton, we don't have a ton of upside left in a pre-halving year. Like typically around this point in like the bottoming of crypto, before the next cycle, you just kind of like, you don't do a ton, you just kind of like, so again, here's where we are right now. I can bring this down to like lower time frame, right? It would just kind of imply that we just kind of like move around here, so maybe we can move up a bit, maybe we can move down. We're kind of at an average of these two, like if we were to take the average of this cycle and this one, we're kind of just splitting the difference, so truthfully, I'm not expecting a whole lot. But I mean, these
Kind
are,
of to your point there, though, Max. I would argue from second to third, that was kind of your adoption curve, right? So if you scroll out a little bit, like, look at how circular that bottom is from
yeah,
your
it's
second
like
to your
it's like a
third.
textbook parabola, man. Like it
That
doesn't
is
get
your
better than that.
adoption curve right there. And then after you catch the adoption curve, now you're in a normie market. What is a normie market? It's a market that basically is predatory, right? That an adoption curve market is a non-predatory market. It's a market where accumulation is very easily seen. A lot of people can get in before the move, and then it takes off. Tesla did a very similar thing at its lows, right before the first split. It had its own adoption curve too. And then you had the big spike, your normie spike, your roll down, and then you get your predatory moves, right? You get your sideways price action, then you drop, right? That's your sweep. That's to get all the normies out. Then you get the round bottom, then you get the three drive high into the next one, and then you get your sweep again to the low, right? That's your covered low. It could be COVID, it could be some world event of like a nuclear. I won't say the word actually, but it could be some kind of world event, because I don't want you to be
Hopefully
modest.
not. Yeah,
But
hopefully not that.
it could be any of those scenarios. I'm just telling you guys, like, black swans are irrelevant. Look, the charts speak before before anything happens. And I'm telling you, the chart here with that three drive high was telling you it was going to rebalance by how fast it went up. And it did. It came down, rebalanced the low, and then took off. This we are operating in a market right now, I would say arguably, that operates very similar to the stock market and to these predatory moves that happened in the stock market. Um, I can't see it any other way. The best thing about crypto for me, and this is what I love about it, I'm just going to be real because I know there's a lot of stock bros and stuff like that that think that stocks are the only way. Look, crypto operates 24/7. I can get on here any time of the day, anytime I want, and trade 24/7. Like there's not a market out there, none, zero, that operate around the clock. Like I can't make it any more clear for a lot of people that are looking at crypto as like, hey, I don't want to dabble in this asset, right? I don't want to dabble in BTC. It's like, dude, this is a market that's just as predictable as the stock market, and it operates 24/7. You can make money 24/7 anytime you want. There's no close, there's no open, anytime you want.
I want to discuss, and that's a great point, by the way, and that's why we love crypto. I want to discuss what typically happens when we're about this far out from the halving. All right. So, and guys, thank you so much for 20 likes. We're at 25 right now. Thank you guys so much. Great audience today on a Friday. We got 37 people watching right now. Thanks so much for being here, guys. Just a quick reminder, if you haven't liked yet, maybe we could get to 30. You know, I don't want to be too greedy. I asked for 20, but you guys already got to 25. Maybe we could do 30. Yeah, but please like and subscribe, guys. We run the show every single day. All right. So right now we are 240 days out from the halving, you know, give or take. We don't know exactly when the halving is going to be. It depends, but it's going to be April. All right. But the day is, it's about 240 days away from now. Before the previous two halvings, look at the price action that has gone down when we were 240 days out from the halving. Typically, the first half of the year is not bad. Okay. So see, like, you know, it was not great, but we had some rallies, right? But typically we bleed into the halving. This was between first and second, right? So not great, and then we get expansion after 239 days out. The first half of this year was very comparable, very, very comparable to what happened this year. So this is January down in here. Crazy expansion all the way through June, you know, about halfway through the year. Second half of the year before this halving, chop, bleed, you know, multiple squeezes, right? But ultimately, you had an opportunity to buy significantly lower. This to me feels like a less, you know, volatile version of this, you know. And again, typically what happens before the halvings when we're about this far out, not a whole lot. You know, we typically dip going into a halving. It's just how it's worked historically. It doesn't have to happen again, but if it did, you know, I guess we'll take fractals of this, right? And we'll just go, you know, we'll just go through the halving. So let's fit this a little bit better. It doesn't have to be perfect, you know. That would be this one. Just go right through. We'll change the color to green. So again, we're just, you know, we're just speculating. Whoa, we are just, why is that? Why is that doing all that? That's okay. We're gonna have to zoom in more, try to get that to fit. Boy, that is bizarre how that's doing
It's
that.
just
There we go.
BLX. These are
Boy,
doing
that
BLX
was
things.
difficult. So these are the two fractals when we were 240 days out from the previous halvings. This was the price action for both of them, you know? So I'm not saying it has to happen again. I didn't massage these at all. Like I literally just Command C, Command V, 240 days out. And actually I'll start it exactly, you know, where it should be. So starting it perfectly right
Hey,
there.
where does that spike go?
What's that?
Where does that spike go?
Yeah, no, it goes to 40K, right? But I'm saying, like, you know, if you're a you know, long-term DCA, or, you know, I mean, I'm just saying, like, you know, both scenarios historically have offered much better buying opportunities because you get that big 30, 40, 50% drop before a halving. So this is not based on any emotion. I'm just saying, like, as I look at this, yeah, could the red happen? Could the ETF get approved or something? Could Will, you know, print up to 40K? Certainly, you know, I'm not going to sit here and tell you that that's not the case or like that couldn't happen. I'm just here presenting the facts. The facts are that before the previous two halvings, as shown right here, you've had a buying opportunity heading into, the latter half of the pre-halving year. So I don't know. You decide. If 30K is cheap, then go for it. But if you wanna risk it and wait for lower prices, the previous two Q3 and Q4s before the halving year have provided exactly that. So,
You know what would be interesting here, Max?
but by the
If
way,
it
I just want to say this real quick. I play upside all the time, but when it comes time to pack a spot bag and throw it in cold storage and set it and forget it and just enjoy the bull market, I'm waiting for some scenario down here. All right, maybe it comes, maybe it doesn't. Then, like, truthfully, for the sake of our business, because Bitcoin, we're a media company, it would be in our best interest to have price go crazy from here. Like, we would make more money, we would have more partnership opportunities. Like, I have every reason, I wake up every day and do this. I have every reason to want price to go up, and I love the asset class. I don't want pain for it. But I also, as an investor, have to recognize the trends and the patterns that have played out previously and try to navigate these markets to the best of my ability. Like, I just, it's a risk, right? Like, if you make me buy back higher, God bless you. Like, if you send this thing to 50K and you make me buy a dip at 42, all right, so be it. You know what? I took a risk that, I was going to be able to buy it lower before the next halving. And maybe it plays out, maybe it doesn't. But here it is. Here's what's happened previously. But yeah, Will, what were you saying, man?
No, I'll get into the other thing in just a minute. I love that you brought that up because I think a lot of people don't realize that from a business aspect. Like it makes no logical sense to sit here and dump on markets from a fundamental standpoint, guys. Like if you're in the business of marketing markets and you're talking about markets and trading and stuff like that, it's better to have a bull market. Why? Because you're going to get advertising, right? You're going to get partnerships, you're going to get sponsorships because all these different businesses are looking to get their name out there and they're going to pay you to give that to them. And so it's more beneficial for the business to actually come out and be like, hey, we're up only, guys, everybody get in. But on here, we try to stay more grounded to make sure people are not getting wrecked based off of price and so on and so forth, and are getting optimal entries. And we do this literally basically for free. I mean, operating costs aside, like we're basically giving you guys a lot of content for free.
Hey, well, that's a great point, man. Like, I said this to Tucker last night. We were talking. I said, man, like we've been having a lot of fun on chain. Like a lot of these alts, and by the way, I see this comment here from Facusis. I don't know how to say your name, man, but we are going to talk about some alts for sure. We definitely got some alt plays. But I was talking with Tucker and I said, man, like we've been killing it lately, man. Like we've been hitting a lot of these on-chain plays as a Discord, as a community. We've been having fun playing both directions. I said, what would make me feel even better than helping people make money and offering guidance, on how to safely navigate on chain and play some of these smaller caps is if and when the time comes, we have community members reach out to me or you or anybody on the team and say, you know what, you guys saved me from being overexposed during that drop. I for once didn't get caught with my pants down, like I didn't get caught off sides longing the top, because a lot of guys in the Discord, like they've expressed like their previous difficulties navigating the crypto markets. Like, yeah, I was super bullish, above 60K. And like, my spot bags got destroyed. I'm still holding certain altcoins, like everybody can make money in crypto when conditions are frothy. It's not difficult, but how many people can keep those profits? How many people can hedge themselves appropriately? I want to be, of course, known for giving out great plays as a community, but if we can help people keep their profits, that's even more powerful to me. But yeah, anyways, it's fun being bullish, man. Like it's way more fun being bullish. I don't like being bearish. It's way easier to be a bull. And you'll be right way more than you'll be wrong because of the way that our markets are structured, especially if you're an equities bull. But when the time comes, you got to just kind of read the writing on the wall. And the worst thing that you can have is FOMO. Like if you're looking at this being like, oh man, we're going to get the red fractal and it's going to go to 40K. I'm afraid to miss out on that. I have to buy it all. like that's wrong. Like you're gonna miss some moves. You don't have to be like all in for every move. If you think that the red fractal's coming here, okay, take a little nibble at it. You don't have to be like all in net worth long like some of these guys on Twitter, they advocate for. And it's
I think a lot of
reckless.
them are LARPing. I don't think they're even in that much, man. Like a lot of guys that are like Super Bulls, I would say there are probably few and far in between. I won't say all or not all in, right? But I would say probably 90% of these guys that are telling you guys, hey, bull, 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 they're not sized in as much as they're talking. Like they're just not. Or their allocation is very small, right? A lot of these guys too. I've seen 100K accounts with guys that are making like $50,000 a year at McDonald's. So not trying
What do
to
you
make
got
fun of
against
people that make
McDonald's,
McDonald's.
man?
All right,
What do you Target now?
saying like
McDonald's will come on, man.
look, I'm just throwing it out there. Okay, I'm just keep that as an idea in the back of your head. But we did hit a we hit a demand zone on the likes here, Max. I didn't know if you
Yeah,
noticed that or
what are
not.
we at right now? 31. All right, they did it for us again. You guys are the best. Thank you. You guys always exceed, man. You guys always push it to the limit for us, so thank you. Um, let's transition a little bit here, man.
Could we jump the mine real quick and then we'll move into I got an alt though. I do have an alt.
You wanna go to your screen, you said?
Yeah, if you got a second. But
Okay, and then there was a question about alt plays and Bitcoin dominance. I got some thoughts on that, but let's go over to your chart first, man. All right, what are we looking at, Will?
this is the keep it simple stupid chart, the KISS chart. All right. If you're a long time DCAer, bull is your bull market. That's where you're distributing and selling to the new participants, your new PVPers. Bear is the downside market. This is where you're basically looking to take downside and you need to hedge risk. Even if you want to stay allocated, then you need to be shorting to be able to offset that allocation of loss. And accumulation, right? This is where you need to be looking to accumulate into the next bull. And we can see here by what I've lined out, and I went through it, and this is not an indicator. I went through and lined all this out myself, based off of previous markets, based off of halving, so on and so forth. Funny enough, I do want to throw this out there. Usually the accumulation goes right past the halving. Really odd, right? A lot of people think that, hey, it's bull after the halving. Accumulation seems to occur a little bit past the halving each time
It's
going
usually
into the
about
next bull.
like 3 to 6 months is kind of the ideal point to like shove net worth.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
like you have a lot of time, guys. Like I want to be very clear about that to accumulate. Like to panic in right now and like put your rent money in and risk capital that you don't have, like I don't think it's a good idea, right? You need to just be kind of easing your way into the market if you're just a DCAer and just relax and DCA easing in, right? It doesn't mean buying the top of some parabola. Like I wouldn't go in net worth Caspa at all time high. Not saying Caspa is not a good buy, but I'm just, I'm a realist. But like if you're seeing things kind of rolling floors, then those are probably good areas to be looking at. Thank you guys for. Oh yeah, no problem, ECB for sure, man. But I do have an alt if we want to jump to that.
Real quick, let me talk about Bitcoin dominance first.
Uh,
I want to discuss this, and then I'll just spend like a couple minutes on this, and then we'll go over to some alts. Oh, this is I was looking at Sol. Let's look at let's pull up Bitcoin dominance. I got it right here. This is all messy. Let's clean this up a bit. These are old drawings, but they seem to be doing okay so far. So actually, let's remove a lot of this stuff. Let's just start over here and we'll do some live TA. All right, we'll just spend a couple minutes doing this, then we'll get into alts. Okay. As far as I can see, go to the 5-day. We're basically Bitcoin dominance has just been in a monster range here. All right. Do range high, range low. Here was our range. Here was our consolidation, right? Clear demand for Bitcoin versus alts in this level. Now, typically after a range breakout, you're going to get something like this. All right. Oops. you break out, and then ideally, you come back, retest the previous range or previous demand, and then you get some expansion beyond there. So again, this range is demand. This was, goes back to, May of 2021. This is, we're going to make this green, mega demand. All right, we're going to put this inside. We're going to move it to the right, and we're going to make it large. This is mega demand. This is our range. So could I see a retrace back sub 49%? Yeah, I mean, certainly I could. Would I wait for it? Not necessarily. This is a big drop right here. We don't have to backfill all of this. We certainly don't have to. But where would I potentially target? Well, the next supply is up here. Or actually, I'll draw a symmetrical range, right? So then our previous range, or I guess distribution before last bull market, like now this is supply, right? So mega demand. And now this up here, and we never came back to retest this, by the way. We just broke out of it. This is
What do you call that move to the downside right there below that mega supply zone?
right here.
Yep.
This would be like a breakdown. Or if you were looking at it like this and this was your range, right? Oops, let me just.
In the traditionals, we like to call this a flush, right? And flushes tend to get rebalanced.
Yeah.
That's always a thing that people have to keep in mind when they're looking at flushes. And I agree. I think there's really good potential to get rebalanced on Bitcoin dominance. Now, I think one important thing here to point out, because I think a lot of people ignore this too, Max, is that Bitcoin dominance plays in two ways, right? So it's either Bitcoin is outpacing alts or alts are bleeding significantly against Bitcoin and Bitcoin's not moving at all.
Yep.
So don't always think that Bitcoin dominance going up means price go up. It's not always this. It's not as easy as a lot of people make it out this, to be.
And by the way, one thing that I've been trying to explain to people is precisely that, Will, where like the first move for Bitcoin dominance moving up, like this breakout, was the most recent push up for Bitcoin. So actually, let's throw Bitcoin on here real quick. Oops. I'm gonna put this in candles and then throw it in log as well.
But I do want to put up. Oh, go ahead.
Oh no, you're good. So you can see that like this most recent push up, this breakout that we had of Bitcoin dominance lined up with this right here. It was this expansion. So Bitcoin rocketed, almost to 32K, and it just left alts behind. Like it just way outpaced altcoins. And that's why we had this breakout here. Just because Bitcoin went up here and Bitcoin dominance broke out here, we could very much so see Bitcoin dominance do something like this, and Bitcoin could nuke. Okay, that's the bear scenario, and Bitcoin would just nuke less than altcoins. All right, so just because it worked here doesn't mean it has to continue where Bitcoin dominance goes up, and it's got a positive correlation with the US dollar price.
So
just
I can
be
give
wary
you
of that.
I can give you a good correlation to kind of how this is made. Total 3 versus, or we can even do total 2 versus total 1, right? And a lot of people can look at it from that perspective. I don't know. Could you pull a chart up on that? Is that possible to put those two against each other?
Say that one more time. Put what up
Total
against what?
total 2 versus total 1.
Yeah, I can do that. So we'll move away from Bitcoin dominance then. Here's total 1. Actually, I got a lot of drawings here. I'll just hide these real quick. We'll save them all. We don't need to get rid of them.
2 does include ETH, so it can be a little skewed because ETH has showed strength, but definitely total 3 I think would show. Actually, put total 3 over top of this too, and let's just see how all 3 have kind of lined out against each other as far as patterns go. Doesn't have to be the same liquidity, obviously, right? We just want to see the pattern be very similar. So 3, just for the audience, it doesn't include Ethereum. 2 includes Ethereum, but not Bitcoin. And 1 includes everything in the ecosystem, right? So this is a good way to measure, are people dialing into alts? Are they dialing into ETH, or are they dialing primarily into Bitcoin? And arguably, if you look at these three charts, Bitcoin over time, as of right now, which is total one with all alts, obviously, is much higher than two, which includes Ethereum and alts, and three is even more mute, right? Arguably, I would say three has potential to even see lower lows when you're looking at altcoins. So you have to keep that in mind when you're dialing in. Is these right here are how you should be looking and measuring your markets and seeing kind of where you're at. But overall, you can see
They're
that
actually
one
low.
has quite a bit more than two or three, while patterns being very similar. Do you see how the hump over there on Bitcoin is much more steep at the high? I'd say
Yeah,
go
here,
left.
let's do this. We'll draw some ranges, man. We'll do some range high action on
Yeah, that's
all of them.
actually perfect. Yep, that's exactly what we want to do, just so people can get a better gauge on what's actually going on here. See how far they all are from their range high?
And we'll draw a range low. So I mean it's interesting. I mean this doesn't paint a bullish picture, right? Like even the one including this is all of crypto. This includes everything, altcoins, Bitcoin, ETH. Pretty clear just like stuffing at the range high so far. And I mean, when you look at all of crypto less, the two big boys, Bitcoin and ETH, you can see we didn't even get a rally up to our range high here. Like we didn't even get close. Like look at like the small caps, the altcoins, the Russell 2000 of the cryptoverse didn't even get like close to this high, this August 2022 high, where, the one that includes Ethereum got a lot closer because Ethereum, of course, is going to drag up this index. But of course, Bitcoin was the one that showed the most resilience, which of course lines up perfectly with Bitcoin dominance during turbulent times, during uncertain times in the cryptoverse. Bitcoin dominance should go up, and it's being reflected here clearly in the total crypto market cap. It's been dragging the asset class up because more money rotates into Bitcoin. So when you remove Bitcoin from the picture in a bear market, you see something like this. Alts just they can't find their legs. They can't get on the horse. Now there's always going to be altcoins that perform, well. There's little pockets of time where you could find any altcoin and just be like, oh, it's up like 40% in a week. Yeah, they squeeze, it's PvP. But when you're talking on like high time frames, we're looking, this is over a year long range for all this. It's pretty clear that Bitcoin has been the hold. It's been the place to put your money. If you're just like a passive investor, if you've been, bag holding AVAX and Solana and, some of these other, Polygon, whatever, you've had windows of time where you've outperformed. But holistically, looking at the entire picture, Bitcoin's been the place to put your money. That's reflected in this chart. We were able to get above the August 2022 high when Bitcoin's added into the total crypto asset class picture. Ethereum, it makes it slightly better, but not as good as Bitcoin. And then total three, forget about it, man. You're completely destroyed, and truthfully, with this one, we're probably going to go and do something like this. Like, we're probably going to go on and actually make a new low before it's all said and done. So,
Yeah, altcoins look a little bleak. So we are just trying to be transparent here on our views on a lot of this. Whereas Bitcoin is obviously showing higher lows at their higher lows at their higher lows, and not only that, I would say too, Max, to kind of go to your point, you've got a double bottom on the most two recent bottoms there on two, and you've got a lower low on the most recent two bottoms on three, right? If you could draw a trend line on those two just to kind of show the audience what we're talking about, and you've got, an obviously uptrend for Bitcoin.
so you want a line here on two?
Yep. So that shows stability. And then, yep. Nope. Angled.
Oh, I see. Oh, I see.
And then now do Bitcoin with the total market cap.
Yeah. Great point, Will.
Do you see the trend differences here? I think that's a lot to take in for the audience right there.
That's
That tells
very,
you strength.
very revealing right there, Will. I'm happy you suggested we do that because that shows you very clearly everything that you need to know right there.
Yeah. So just be careful, dialing in, I would say, into certain alts that are still overpumped because your trend on altcoins, in my opinion, is still down. Your trend on Ethereum is stable, right? Not bullish, stable, which means it may continue to trend sideways. And your trend on Bitcoin is up, which means it should continue to outpace the rest of the market going into the halving and probably beyond. Obviously, everything else will catch up, but that's the way the market is right now.
So Wes_BTC asked a question about Bitcoin dominance, which we didn't get to, but we can just talk about it even with this chart up. What do you think has to happen before Bitcoin dominance making that move? It seems to have a hard time breaking it. If you're referring to the move to upper 50s or 60%, I mean, truthfully, I think it's going to either have to be Bitcoin expands rapidly to like 40K or something like that and just leaves altcoins behind. Or it's going to have to be the entire crypto asset class like nukes, and we see more continuation of what we're showing right here, where this might go down and make like a double bottom, but total 3 is going to go on and make like a capitulatory, seriously, like a new low. So it would look something like this, where maybe the total crypto asset class does something like this, but total 3 gets just destroyed, like 200 billion is our bottom or something like that. And in that case, you'd see Bitcoin dominance clearly moving up rapidly. And if you want to talk about like narratives, I don't really know. I don't really know like what the narrative would be. I mean, it could just be price action based, but I would say the bullish side, of it would be Bitcoin spot ETF gets approved and Bitcoin absorbs a lot of, total 3's market cap because there's more big money interest and VC interest in like trying to front run the launch of a spot ETF. And I think the bear side of that narrative would be like we get a recession, and liquidity constraints continue to bottleneck expansion within the cryptoverse. And, you continue to see altcoin liquidity dry up, and any liquidity that's left, navigates over to Bitcoin. So,
Arguably, too, I would want to give a even more bullish case here, Max, and that would be that green trend line that we see as far as a downtrend could be the low for the altcoins, right? So let's kind of entertain that versus the blue line.
like, are you talking like, like just meeting this green line
Yes,
again?
yes,
Yeah, okay. Yeah, we could do that too. So, I mean, it would just maybe look something like this, it could just be a prolonged bleed, down to here or something like that, and then whoop, bull market, who knows?
and that's just it catching up with Bitcoin. Now, keep in mind too, with the uptrend with Bitcoin, we did get a little bit of an offset with this uptrend, right? Because you're kind of curving a little bit because your straight up trend is done. Because if you were to go from the low to the high, or sorry, the low to the middle on an angled trend line, you've already broken that, right? So that's another thing too that I wanted to point out there to the upside. So in that scenario, you could be curving over to break down, but you could also break out of this range too. So I want to be very apparent of that too. We could get above, hit like 1.25, come back down, use 1.2 as support, and then kind of consolidate that range and then break back into this range later on and just not capitulate the low, maybe capitulate the mid range and then break out from there. And
Yeah.
that would be my 25K case, right? That's us pulling back to 25K. That means we got above the range. We would probably come back into the range to grab the liquidity near the low, not at the low, and then kind of break out from there. And Ethereum, as you can see here, like Ethereum looks just like it did in 2021. Like, can you actually pull up an ETH chart and put it on the monthly backs and just draw a line across the highs that it's been creating? I want to show this because I don't think anybody's been paying attention to this. It's absolutely disgusting. The chart is. Now just draw a line straight across the bodies.
Of where? Like
The
here?
highs. Yep. Yeah. What do you see there?
I don't want to say it publicly.
That looks way worse than Bitcoin. It looks way worse than Bitcoin. Arguably, right? So like I'm just being transparent, right? I think a lot of people have not looked at the higher time frames on this. Like, why would you want to trade that? You got no volatility, none. Yeah, and if you were to come back to trend, what's that trend downside? The normie trend.
The normie trend, sub 1600, depending on when you meet it, 1550, 1600, something like that.
So if you remain bullish, that's your best case scenario. I think you come back, revisit the normie trend, and then you break out from there. If you remain bullish. And if you were to draw that straight across to your left there, more max.
How would you feel about this, Will?
I think it's extreme. I'm going to take it level by level. All right, 1600, and then if it breaks that, then I'll entertain.
Well, you don't want 800 to 5,000. Come on.
I mean, I would buy, yeah.
I know you would.
draw the red line to the left more. The top one. Do you see how you pretty much came back and recaptured liquidity? But put it on the monthly. The monthly is the most clear price action zone you can look at right there. Now bring that body candle down to that last drop. No, not that one. The other one.
This one?
Yep. Bring it down just a little bit. Right in there to the body. Yep. Now look at your price all the way across.
Yeah.
That's a clear rejection.
Clearly being rejected.
Yeah. They have to come through that with force if they're going to get through. Like a lot. That's going to be a lot of money they got to pump in there to get through that selling pressure there.
Yeah.
Not saying it's not possible, but like it's not looking good on Ethereum right now. I'm seeing a lot of projects, especially NFT projects too. They're capitulating to the Ethereum network, which means they're searching for liquidity, which means the liquidity is drying up in the fucking altcoin market.
I mean, dude, the most bullish case I can make for ETH right now is that on-chain season was just nuts, and people are going to take profits back into Ethereum potentially. But I don't know, man. The chart looks a little bit questionable to me at the moment.
Cooked. It's too many stabs at the high with no real conviction.
Why not?
I'm not as bullish on Ethereum right now. I'm just not. I'm more bullish on other altcoins than I am Ethereum, and I think altcoins are gonna get wrecked. That's the funny part. Like it's like I don't even know how that's a thing. It just ETH is basically traded like a stable coin for like months and months and months. But yeah, outside of that, if you want to do a couple altcoins, we can check out some stocks and stuff like that too, real quick. I gotta run relatively soon.
Yeah, let me talk about the NASDAQ real quick.
Okay.
And then let's talk about some altcoins.
Oh, Apple too.
Yeah, we gotta talk about that. All right, so these lines right here, this is a VWAP from the all-time high, and then VWAP from the local low. I just can't help but notice like this demand zone. I mean, we spent so much time, building demand in here, and when we broke out of it, we never came back to really retest it. So like if this is our range high, range low, mid range, very clear range in here. We just gapped up, man. I mean, truthfully, like I don't think it's impossible for us to come back and retest this before higher. It could take a little bit of time, but as far as I can see, I mean, clear break of trend up top here. Very clear break of trend, break of structure. I think if we did come back up into here, this is a short and you're probably looking for lower. But then I think there's a pretty good chance that this level would provide a nice bounce, truthfully. So, anyways, feeling pretty bearish there on the S&P 500. I'd be looking for the same thing. I mean, I'd be looking for, about the same thing. I'll remove this. You can see the demand that was built up here for months. We gapped up and just never came back to retest it. So it's like, why not come back to 4,300, 4,280, something like that? And then, we can run it back to, an all-time high later this year or something like that. We get that final sweep of the high or something. And then, we do something like, then we do something like this, This would be it right here, Will. And then we get that famous, the famous megaphone pattern, that we've talked about before.
Well, I would say if yeah, that I mean yeah, there's potential for that for sure. Yeah, I again, but that's basically just so the audience knows that's us saying that we'll probably end up going up exponentially before we end up coming down, but you're going to get destroyed coming back down. It's pretty funny how the market tends to rebalance over and over and over again continuously, right? The same way, the same way. I mean, really, you could draw that as a trend line, Max. That's a lower low on that whole situation.
Just saying. Maybe higher, maybe lower.
Scroll out a little more, Max.
That's all I
Go to
got.
1970s.
That's all I got. I have to move over to SPX.
Can you hear me, Max?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Oh yeah.
Oh, okay. Oh god, this one is the worst, man.
Same thing. It's literally the same thing.
Terrible, man. Can you imagine that?
Well, arguably, I would say with where we are now, we've probably already started our two pattern, our two drive down. So this will just be our third, right? So
I mean,
it
this
always
could be
tends to move in
this
threes.
could literally be where we're at right now. Like right here.
Yep.
And this is our 4,300 retest that I want right there,
Yep. And then it bounces, goes back up, makes the megaphone high, and then rolls back, retests the lows, but goes deeper. It goes deeper every single time too on that second retest.
So if we did that same pattern, it would basically just be this.
I always see people too, Max. I don't know what your thoughts is on this. But I always see people talk about super cycles and extended cycles and all these odd things that have never occurred. What are your thoughts on that?
You'll have
I
to
feel
be
like it's
more
just a normie
specific.
thing to say, but like when people use the word super cycle, what do they mean by that?
I mean, I've heard it used many, many different ways. The way I interpret it is like, a crazy period of technological or, industrial adoptions or breakthroughs that leads to expansive price action, even amidst, certain periods of volatility or shakeouts or something like that. So, I mean, you could make the case that the NASDAQ, was in basically in a super cycle or something
Well,
like that.
let me ask you a question then to kind of entertain on top of that, not to cut you off.
No, you're good.
Um, the, it blows my mind, but let's say can we agree on this? From 2000 to 2010 was probably the biggest tech boom we've ever seen.
Yeah, I would say so. Yeah.
Okay, so if we can agree on that, could you show me an SPY 2000 to 2010?
Sure. dot-com crash. I mean, this was pretty crazy right here, though, too. Like the creation of the internet, that was
Yeah. Yeah.
that was pretty
I,
wild too.
I think a lot of people think we're on that side of the curve, whereas I think we're on the bottom, or we're kind of in the mid range right before 2008.
Mm.
And because we've already seen the boom of the 10-year boom, right? We've already pulled back. We've already busted out again. Because here's the thing, since 2012, we've been up only, right? So arguably, that's your left side of your W right there, right? That's your nine. That's going into your 2000s. I mean, would you not agree?
Tell me exactly where you think we are.
Okay, so I think in 2012, go ahead and mark out 2012. So that right there was your tech boom. That's your big boom. Now go back here to 1996, I think it is, or yeah, I think it's 1996. That's your tech boom, right? So that's where the market started. Now go ahead and get that peak high right there, right after that big boom. So you began your boom there, you ended your boom at that Pico high in 2000, right? So 2000 was your Pico high. So go ahead and mark out 2000 right there, and then mark out 2021. All right, good. Go ahead and mark out the bottom of 2000's rundown. Right there. No. Do the horizontal line straight up and down, or not
Oh,
horizontal, but vertical. Sorry.
like here,
Yep. Now go ahead and mark out our recent bottom.
vertical,
Yep. Now go ahead and mark out the high end peak of our high, vertical.
like right here.
No, where you have it drawn to.
You want a horizontal?
No. Vertical. Right there, and then do the top of 2000, right before 2007, 2008. I think was the Pico high of the last market. Arguably, that's what we're running into right now. Now, anybody
1,
can
2,
say
3,
different.
4. 1, 2, 3,
You drop and then you
4.
run. Now, the reason for that is look at your extended period in between markets of upside, right? Now go back to the 90s and look at your extended period in between markets before upside. Arguably bigger than that, but we'll start at the 90s, right? Where basically the internet was created. So right there. Yeah, I mean we can go anywhere in there, but arguably this was the bottom before the run up, and then we had the correction of the run up. Now we had the bottom 2012 before the run up, and now we're getting the correction to the run up.
So you're basically saying that is basically like right here.
Or yeah, basically that's your parabolic right there.
And this
That's your accumulation before the parabolic move happened.
I mean, that makes sense to me, man. That makes perfect sense to me.
I mean, we still have upside. Don't get me wrong. Like I'm a bull on this. I think we still have upside, but it's
And
it's
dude,
definitely something interesting.
4,300 to 5,000 is a hell of a move. But
Yeah.
then, oh,
I mean, it could be 3,200. I don't discount bears from being right or wrong on this situation. I just don't until this market shows different. I don't see them being wrong at the moment. Yeah, I think that's and you are going to get another parabolic. you are going to get another parabolic beyond this. Like it's going to happen. Like I think that bulls are just too early, and bears were also just too early, right? No, I won't say bulls were early. They're only early if they don't take profit. But I think they will be late to take profit, and bears will come in later.
That's interesting to look at. This is really interesting to look at.
The same, man. I can eyeball a pattern like nobody else, man. I'm telling
Dude,
you
I
from
was
there.
born too late, man. Like, if I was to just imagine if you were just like, I mean, man, like that's why there's so many millionaires now, is because, dude, people just had 401k accounts that got thrown into index funds, and they've just been DCAing, like, dude, all of this. They're just DCAing, and it's like,
But look
God.
at your decrease in upside in comparison. Do you see it?
Well, yeah, I mean, the asset class, of course, is maturing. It's a lot more difficult to take something from, a $1 trillion market cap than, it's easier to manipulate or pump something that's 5 million. So,
Yeah,
yeah.
this is the key. This is the key to wealth. I'm telling you guys. I'm a millennial. I'm an old person. Well, maybe not really old, but old enough. Old enough to see a lot of the technology boom. I'm old enough to understand how markets have moved and so on and so forth. I watched all this stuff play out. I watched people have cell phones built into their car, not cell phones like the phones they had built into their car that were satellite phones. I don't know if you guys have seen those before. That was when cell phones were too expensive to have. So if you bought a BMW or something, you get the pop out phone, the satellite phone, right? And you can call people on the satellite phone.
Will, you remember what was the Civil War like, Will? Can you tell me about
So, I'm not that old.
it?
Oh my gosh,
What
yeah.
was it like fighting in World War II, Will? I'd love to know firsthand.
All
You could
right,
tell me
let's
about.
let's let's get the apple, man. We'll get the apple, and then we'll get to these altcoins. Gotta get running here soon.
All right, let's talk about Apple.
It's okay. People make fun of my age. I'm all right with it, guys.
I
Go
had
ahead,
this
let me have it.
drawn for Apple, by the way. I didn't trade it, but like I had this drawn a while ago. Interesting spot to get rejected from, no?
It makes sense here though, but I could see this being even though this is a bear flag, I could see this breaking out at some point. I just think it'll continue to play the range until it doesn't, and I think it'll break out. I think that 130 floor is pretty solid. Um, yeah, yeah, I gotta get moving. But you care if I get the screen real quick and I'll just run through some alts real fast.
Let's do it.
So let's discuss some alts. So this is Cardano for those of you interested in alts. Basically double bottom move. Basically holding up here. But just like the total three, if total three plays out, we could definitely see Cardano kind of play back into this trend, right? So 20 cents, depending on how far out that is, it could be 18, 15. This is the money shot though, if we can get into this range, and that's that 15-cent range. I'd really like to see that because there's just a lot of accumulation here. So I think it would be a bounce zone. It'd be a good zone to be looking to bid if price can get there for Cardano. Let me run through a couple other ones real quick. Another one that I was kind of watching is Mara. Mara's definitely following the structure, I would say, of Bitcoin. Basically came back to support, has been holding it the whole time, 1488, and light bouncing here. So we'll see if they can curve back up and hit the high here. If they do, I would imagine Bitcoin's made a new high, right? At least yearly. So if that's the case, that's what I'd be looking for Mara if it's able to do that. If not, this will double top here and you're screwed. And now this thing's going to either accumulate here because it has a lot of liquidity below here. But if it trades back into this range, that's going to be pretty nasty, guys. Like that's not something I'd want to hold if it's going to do that. You got a couple supports here, but the reality is you can get wrecked in this play if that ends up happening. One of Wabi's favorite coins. I'm just joking. Wabi's going to watch this, but no, it's not. Algorand, right? We definitely have lower lows. I want to be very,
Dude,
very
that chart
clear
looks
on that.
terrible, man.
It looks disgusting.
It looks so bad.
Look. I love disgusting charts. I'm not gonna lie, man. I
because
love
they
them.
squeeze.
Yeah, they squeeze hard. But honestly, like look at this range here, Max. Look at this range. Tell me that's not eerie. It's
I
very,
mean,
very
it kind of
eerie.
looks like there's about to be some sort of like,
And look at your RSI.
dude, it just looks so weak, man.
It
I just
does.
think like if Bitcoin and ETH sneeze, that thing's
If
going to
they
make a
do,
serious new low.
well, here's the thing. Bitcoin's already drawn down like 2 or 3 times in this range, and it hasn't really came down. There's I don't to me, it's eerily almost like sellers are out, right? Now, granted, if it does come down, it'll probably make a big capitulation event leg down if that ends up happening. But I would arguably say, like, if this is one of your things that you're looking to get into, it's a good spot to look to DCA, right? If you're a DCAer, if you're a DCAer. So that's what I wanted to
Is this
kind of
a
throw out
bag that
there.
you're bullish on next cycle, Will?
I am bullish on Algorand, yes.
There it is,
Uh,
the doctor's prescription.
also
30 pills
Aptos.
of bullish on algo.
Aptos is another one. Dude, Sandstorm Gold LTD. This thing has been just in. Look, I'm looking for a big play on this one. I don't know why. It just everything's there. It's cooking its way down. Look, it's recapturing the wick. I got the 2 all the way down here. I think they're going to cut the long bulls short from the lows. They're going to scalp them out, and I think they're going to hit the 2, and then they're gonna bang this all the way up, man. Like this is a bullish channel right here. So I'm definitely watching this one.
Are you
Sandstorm Gold.
accumulating that yet or just being patient?
Being patient, just
Yeah.
watching. It's not in that area yet. It has a decent amount more downside, in my opinion. So I'm gonna just wait for it to play out. Again, I am looking to scalp out bottom. So if it comes down here, no biggie. But I know how these plays tend to play, and it's usually, especially with gold plays, like gold is the most manipulated thing out there. They always scalp you out of your highs. They always scalp you out of your lows. These guys are predatory in the gold market. Let me get to. I think I had another one too that I wanted to look at. Oh, there's one that's really bullish on fundamentals, but the chart looks like complete garbage. It looks like a shitstorm, and that's Aptos, right? So the reason Aptos specifically is so bullish is because they're working directly with Google Cloud, and they're also working with Microsoft AI. So they're working with real world companies. And as you can see here, I was kind of bullish on this, and it didn't work out. I ended up getting. Well, I didn't buy this yet. I haven't bought this yet.
But it
I
doesn't
ended up
look bad, by
not
the way.
buying.
Like, I actually think that, like, that level right there will, like, I can't see the chart. Maybe like 4, 5, little bit lower than that. Like, if you just drag that down a little bit
Yeah, that's what
right
I was
there,
looking
like,
at too. Is right
that's a
here.
good level. Like, I'd like to take out the
Well,
previous low right there,
it did.
retest that demand. That doesn't look bad to me.
Look, hit it on the nose. Instantly bounced out of it.
Yeah, I think that's your demand right there, man. Like, that's your concrete wall for now. So,
I might start accumulating this actually because it's got the trend starting to move up on high time frames, and we're
but I
starting
don't
to move
I,
out
I'll
at
just say
low.
this. I don't know if I'm super bullish on Aptos next cycle. I haven't seen a ton to be that excited about, truthfully. I think there's other projects that I'm more excited about at this point.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, no, I think there's better picks. I like the fact that they're involved with Google Cloud services for scaling. That's what they're using them
What do you
for.
think about this? We had a comment from Tyrell. Aptos Microsoft announcement was exit liquidity. They're just using the service like anyone else.
Yeah, no, I know a lot of these are. Same thing with the Google Cloud situation, right? They're using that for
Yeah.
scaling, but they're using the service. Yeah, it's the same thing. But the
Yeah.
fact that that these, I would say, these companies are even allowing them to integrate is bullish on my standpoint. A lot of these companies just shut out any crypto projects immediately and tell, no, we don't want to do business with you. So the fact that they are even able to do business with them is it says a lot, right? Because Google, I will say this, I've worked there, and they're one of those companies that are pretty integral in a lot of ways, right? So like if they don't want to work with, they don't care about money. They don't give two shits. Like you can come to them with any amount of money, and they'll be like, so they just want things the way they want them. So if they don't like you as a partner, they don't like you as an individual, they won't work with you. They're just one of those companies. And they have that kind of money to do those type of things too. That's what a lot of people don't understand. They steal your data and sell it. So I mean, you don't need to make revenue off of individuals in that scenario. But yeah, that's what I'd say with that. Lucid obviously holding the range lows. I still think they're coming back down for these supplies at $5, man. It's disgusting. Bad pick on my part. Rivian high. I talked about this probably about the 2038. We're most of the way there. It's almost guaranteed it's going to hit it, and you're going to hit your capitulatory high over here. A lot of people are going to expect this candle to get completely engulfed, and really the reality is this is probably your bounce zone. We'll see at the end of the day, because here's the issue with Rivian though. Big issue, and I saw this. This is why I took some profit in this area. Is this right here? See that, Max?
Little retest time, man. Once we get a breakout and a clear demand forms, it's not uncommon to see a retest, even if it's aggressive and it's deep. So I'm still bullish on Rivian, but I mean, I don't have any exposure to it right now. But I mean, I probably try to bid that demand zone. You know, if it lines up nicely with like the S&P 500 coming back to 4,300 or something like we talked about before new highs. Yeah, I mean, I think you're going to continue to see some of these smaller cap companies perform extremely well. You know, but I think again, it's going to be somewhat dependent on like what the two larger indexes are doing. So,
and I want to be clear too. Like, this is why I don't delete my charts. I was wrong on direction on this, which does happen. Everybody gets wrong.
He's human, guys. I know you probably think he's like, some AI robot, but yeah, even Tiger Woods misses a shot once in a while, right?
I don't come in and manipulate. I don't massage. Like, I come in, I give you guys what I'm seeing, and sometimes it plays, sometimes it doesn't. More often it plays than not, but like, hey, you're gonna miss some. This is a nice move on Amazon. I think honestly at this point they probably got scalped out. We'll see. At the end of the day, I think they got scalped out because I think a lot of longs were looking for a recapture price and they were holding and are probably still holding calls to this point, right? And they're not going to get there. I don't think they are. I think they formed a lower high here, and I think that this right here arguably could be a complete scalp out of the high here.
Hey, Will, we had a question from Mark. Can you look at Lucid? I know we already looked at it, but just show some levels again there.
Yeah, so basically you have the high, drop, pump, drop, pump, and I'm expecting another drop. Now, one thing I want to point out here with Lucid, and I will continue to play this until it doesn't play, and I think when we hit that $5 area, that's your demand on your bull div.
Huge bull div, man.
Yeah. All they're doing is they're playing people into selling here because the bull div's there. There is a divergence of price in this area, and I can tell you the same thing happened on Bitcoin before it flipped, and I'll show you that. There's a divergence of price here where they're continuing to try and shake out positions because buyers are stepping in heavier and heavier and heavier the more the price drops. That's what a bull div is, or is indicative of. Same thing happened here on Lucid on the weekly. If you look here on the weekly, this is where, and this is Tads. You were there, Mark. Like I believe that's Tads. You saw, like we were buying like all these altcoin shit coins all the way through here because like it made sense. It made sense. Why? Because if you looked at the low here, like we weren't buying Bitcoin, we were buying everything but Bitcoin, and I'm telling you, like something's 9x off this pump. You looked at that area specifically in there, you basically had the green light / go signal to buy, right? You had the inversion of the chart telling you on the higher time frame, hey, price is going to reverse in this area. You need to be paying attention. Now, keep in mind, bull divs can play deeper. They can 100% play deeper. But the first indication, the first sniff or whiff you get of a bull div, you start dialing, right? You start dialing. You don't get scared. You get all that fear shit out of your mind and you just start dialing. And if you look here, you had the pump into the drop, and you had the pump into the drop. Now, did buyers step out or did they step in? They stepped in, and they stepped in with force here, right? And then you had the drive, and you continued to drive this bull div here, and then the breakout.
Can you show how are we looking right now? Are we printing bear divs or anything right now up at these highs?
I wouldn't say.
Yeah, that's
Yeah, we
kind of
are.
bear
Yeah,
divvy. That's very
yeah,
bear divvy.
we got a little bit, right? The angle's not really steep,
I don't
but
know, Will.
definitely.
I think that looks pretty bear div to me.
I'm saying on price, but like on RSI for sure. RSI is pretty steep, right? But
Yeah.
it doesn't mean at the same time that this can't play back up and break out and still like here's the thing. Even over here, you had bear divs, right?
They can take a long time to play
They
out,
could take
man.
a long time to
Dude, the
exactly
60 go to the daily.
look at this bear div here and look.
Dude, even better, you can go to the daily and look at it. I remember charting these during like live during this period of time. Like, look at how like I mean, if you had sold the first bear div on Bitcoin, you would have missed, a bulk of the last bit of that expansion. You would have sold at like 35K, you know, that first
Oh
bear
yeah.
div, maybe not quite that low, but yeah, from where it started,
Oh, over in
crazy.
here? Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
There was a couple in here, and that's the thing. That's why you can't take these higher time frame bear divs so much. But like I would say your first bear div, your very first bear div actually occurred here, right?
yeah, yeah,
And that was your Pico high. And that's where you should have got your first indication that the market was topped and that you can continue to play the high, but eventually the show is going to end,
yeah.
right? And that's exactly what happened. Now, what happened over here? Again, same thing. We had the drop, right? And we had the market doing what? We had it printing long. So you got the bull div over here. A lot of people missed that one.
Yeah,
Then you
these
had the
these
run
high
up.
time frame divergences are lights out, man.
Yeah, yeah. And then now you could have played the downside here and saw this rollover well before it started to occur. But the problem is if you'd have taken, you wouldn't have known here, but you could have easily known up here that you were starting to roll over. And then you could have taken the profit, came down, looked for your demand zone right over here, hit your demand zone, and then bounced off your demand. So this should have been your bid with a stop below, right? And then hit your demand, come up here to the height. Now, keep in mind, you printed another bear div, right? And a lot of people didn't pay attention again. Boom. You got your double top high. Boom.
That was so
You got
obvious
your
too,
lower
man.
high, right? So you printed another bear div, then you puked, and people still refused to admit that price was going to go down here. And then you came up and you puked again, and you puked with immense amount of puking, right? So you came down, hit your low end range of your RSI, and then buyers started to step in based on strength, right? That's what happened here. Buyers stepped in based on strength, and that's not buyers, that's traders. They're like, hey, we're at the low end range of strength. We're going to trade here. This is a bull market. They were still in belief that it was a bull market, so they were bidding every single metric that would tell them it's a bid, right? So you got your bid, you got your breakout. Now, keep in mind, I told a lot of people over here too. I'm like, hey, you're getting another chance. You're getting another chance to get out. No, it's not going any deeper, guys. It's not going any deeper. Boom. Puked again, right? And then this is the real capitulation over here, guys. This is where everybody in Twitter finally shut that up. All right. I did cut that out because I was getting irritated with people's like just not paying attention. Right. I was gonna say another word. That's why I said people's, but I won't say it, you know. We'll come through here and we'll look at this. And I'm not saying like, hey guys, I'm some godsend of trading. Like, but you have to be able to identify trends when they occur, man. It's just you got to pay attention. So you have your easy pair channel playing after a drop. Oh no, guys, we're going up again. We're going. Look, you get another chance to get out. I'm telling people over here, hey, they're letting you out of your positions. Take the opportunity. It's not going below 30K. There's no point in selling here. It's not going below 30K. Okay, what do? Boom, come down below, retest the channel, break, right? And we didn't break a little bit, we broke with force. We blew through 30K, and people for some reason thought this was going to reverse and come back into the 30K range. Like, you broke your clear support. You broke it, it's gone.
Dude, that's crazy to me that people were bidding that. I remember going back and forth with a guy on Twitter about that. I don't even know what happened to him, dude. I feel like it's not even on Twitter anymore, but we had a bet like that whoever was right would have to like shout the other person out. And he was convinced that we were turning around there. And I remember if you go to the low time frames and look at that, Will, like maybe like 12 hour or something like that. Yeah. And I remember saying to him that wick from the drop, I was like, dude, that wick is getting backfilled. Like I will bet
100%.
anything that we come back and don't leave that wick. And he's like, no, I'm like super convicted here, like never been more convicted. And we just absolutely nuked, man.
Well,
Like,
we didn't just fill it, we violated.
dude, yeah, I remember that one well. When I saw
And
that wick, man, oh no. And it was such scammy price action before like the next drop where I mean, dude, we just had these crazy squeezes like, drop down, squeeze, and then turn right back around. It's just crazy price action.
I was just sitting, bro. I was like short, 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 short. Like, it was easy. And people were like, buy, 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 buy all across Twitter. It's like, okay, keep buying. I
That's the
mean,
problem with Twitter, man, is like people just get so like there's so much noise out there. Like at the end of the day, you have to be really careful who you listen to, and I'd much rather listen to the people that just kind of say it how it is. And, maybe it appears like they're swimming upstream because the buy and hold, just like DCA forever propaganda is going to get you wrecked most of the time, because I mean, look, over a 10-year period, you'll probably be fine. Even if you bought 69K, you'll be fine, because I think Bitcoin's going to go much higher than that over the next decade. But do you really want to wait 10 years to hit a 2 or 3x? I mean, that's
well,
fine, but you might as well just throw money at index funds then. You're here for more than that. Most of you,
yeah,
at least.
you actually made a great point there, Max, and I do want to kind of elaborate on that. A lot of people don't understand. Like, historically, in a 10-year span, the SPY will outpace everything. It just will. Um, if you're just buying, right? If you're just buying, and why? Because it's the most up forever chart, right? We saw that from basically the 90s to 2000, massive, massive run up. Then you got basically, 2012 to 2021, massive run up. So if you have a longer time horizon on your chart, on your charts and on your investing, then yeah, those kind of things work. But if you have a shorter time horizon and you're trying to compound, like, it's just not the play. It's not the play. And I think compounding is the best way because at the end of the day, you can retire with $500,000, maybe $1 million, maybe even $2 million, right? With just pure investing from an intelligent standpoint in just ETFs, right? That could be your retirement. Um, or you could take that money and compound it continuously, which means every time you see profit buying something that's undervalued, and you could 20, 30, 40, 50, 100 million by the
I mean, I
time you
think
retire.
about this, man, like, and I'm just going to use these numbers because they're easy, right? They're not personal goals or anything, but yeah, exactly. Evan just said it right there, man. Live off the yield, right? With at least with my previous skill set and my work experience in real estate, I'm pretty confident that I can generate a relatively risk-free 8 to 12% cash on cash return on an annualized basis. After tax is probably slightly less than that, but if you know what you're doing and you know how to operate it, I mean, the government's very friendly towards people that provide housing. There's a lot of tax incentives and tax deferments that you can take advantage of. And I mean, like if you got $1 million, a little nest egg $1 million, you should be able to generate 10% off of that. Can you live off $100,000 a year? $8,000-$10,000 a month. Maybe you need more than that. Maybe you need less than that. I don't know. But point being is, if you play these markets correctly in crypto for 3 to 5 years, you hang in there, you time things, you take the risk. You put on size when appropriate, you compound like Will's talking about. You could save up a million. I mean, you could literally start with, I know some guys that started with $10,000-$20,000 and they ended up with like 600,000-700,000 last cycle and actually kept a lot of that. But Will, we do got to get it. We got to wrap up here, man.
Yep,
I'm
for
so
sure.
sorry. We got to wrap up,
I was about
guys.
to too.
Thank you so much for being here. We are Because Bitcoin. My name is Max, and we are joined by, of course, our favorite BB analyst, Will's Outlook. I hope you guys enjoyed the show today. Now, that's blocking Will's face. If you enjoyed the show and you want to get to know us on a more personal level and actually also trade with us, we do have a sign up down below for a premium subscription. It's to our Discord. We are offering some free trials there as well if you sign up on your computer. So you can try for 1 week for free. We post all of our trades and analysis in real time, so you get to actually see behind the curtain how we're positioning. So again, please like and subscribe the video. I hope you guys enjoyed the show. I hope you guys have had a great week, and I hope you're going to have an even better weekend. Thanks so much for being here, and we will see you guys Monday. Take care.